BW says, thanks for all the help. It was an ESC from yesterday. And does the newest Betaflight motor direction work? 442 does not work. You need to be on 441 or 440. Thank you for $5, BW. And our last super chat in this round, in this particular group, is from Tyler Getze. Thank you for $5, Tyler. I am upgrading from a Tiny Hawk 3 to bigger quads. I want to build Express LRS and get a TX16S JB edition. Can I use it with my old FreeSky quads? If you get the JB edition, no. You will need to have an external 4-in-1 module to bind it to your old FreeSky quads. If you have a lot of FreeSky quads, my advice would be don't get the JB edition. My advice would be get the standard TX16S with the 4-in-1 module. That will bind to your FreeSky quads, and then get an external Express LRS module to go in the bay in the back of the radio. The advantage of that will be that you'll get up to 1 watt of output power instead of only 250 milliwatts. We got one more that just came in from Wyatt Denbo. Thank you for $5. I just fried my ESC. Does that have to do with a different component on the drone or just bad luck? That's hard to say, Wyatt. There are various reasons why an ESC might have fried. It could have been damaged in a crash previously. It could have been the motor was damaged and it fried the ESC. It could have been some water got on it. There are a million things that could cause it to fry. And I appreciate the donation of $5, and I would want to be helpful to you, but there's just not enough information to know. It's usually, if anything fries the ESC, it's usually the motor, or the ESC is just damaged and it fries. Okay, we're going to go back to taking questions from the regular chat and the Discord server. And the first one is going to be from the Flying Grip, who asks, when building an X8, do you add the thrust from each prop, or is there some % loss from an inefficiency? Flying Grip, if you're building a X8, you mean a coaxial, right? Where the two motors are one on top of the other. Yes, there is some amount of thrust lost from each prop. I don't know. Does anyone know a rule of thumb? Does anybody know a rule of thumb for how much thrust is lost when you have coaxial motors? It's not like a lot, but it's some. And I know there's a rule of thumb, but I don't know what it is off the top of my head. But the answer is yes, there is some loss of efficiency. I just saw this question from Frank Ryan, and Blunty didn't even flag it yet, but it's a great question. I'm going to go ahead and take it. This question is, I wonder if you heard if the Walksnail VTX can be hooked up to a UART for pass-through for downloading videos. No. Nope. There's no capability for that. That would be cool, but there isn't any. Jason Hind, the Smoke DSC usually does not take out the flight controller with it. Leo Ponce asks, I just moved to the USA, Georgia, my old home state. About 12, 13 years ago, I lived in Georgia from the time I was 8 to the time I was, 12, 13 years ago, whatever that was, 2009. So yeah, lived there for a long time. One of my favorite states, to be honest with you. In the USA, the FAA expects you to fly with a spotter. If you are flying FPV, you have to maintain visual line of sight with the aircraft, and you can't do that when you have goggles on your face. The question you asked was, can I really not fly without a spotter? And the answer to that question is you can do whatever you want. You can fly without a spotter. Almost certainly you will not get in any trouble for that. However, technically you will be breaking the rules. Blackwater says he doesn't have a southern accent. That depends on who I'm around. I have more of a southern accent when I'm hanging out with people from Tennessee or Georgia. Swayon FPV asks, are the Jumper T16 switches able to work with the Radiomaster TX16S? I don't think so, Swayon. The Jumper, it's been a long time since I had a Jumper open, so please take this with a grain of salt. Actually, I know what to do. I have the internet. Jumper T16 replacement switches. Okay, so Jumper T16 replacement switches. That's interesting. They sure look similar, don't they? They sure look similar. Now, the Radiomaster switches have wires coming off of them and a plug. That's the piece I need to figure out. It doesn't... the Jumper switches have ribbon cables that go to them, it looks like. Yeah. So, no, they are not compatible. At least not... They're not a drop-in replacement. The Jumper switches use ribbon cables. The Radiomaster uses regular plugs. They're not going to be a drop-in replacement. They may be adaptable. I mean, the problem is you would need to desolder this ribbon connector and solder on wires, and I think that's going to actually be pretty difficult for most people. Flying Ryan says they're also oriented differently. I will take your word on that. David Love to Fly wants to know about a tutorial for 3D flying. David, I think that the older tutorials, like the ones that, like the setting up 3D mode, I don't think has changed. So those older tutorials, the steps that they take you through are still going to be the same. The interface may look a little different, but no, I don't know of any like new tutorials on 4.3 or 4.4. They may exist. I just haven't seen them. And frankly, I just don't think 3D flying is that popular. So there's not a lot of people making tutorials about it. Let's see. Torpedo Law says oh, you mean the capacitor, not the resistor. I think you mean the capacitor. Is it okay to fly while the capacitor fell off while I order another one? I mean, probably it's okay, but your risk of frying something will be higher. But probably it's okay. Yikes, Tyler Harris. Tyler Harris, that's amazing. Tyler Harris got $10,000 for their college's new FPV club. Should we go analog or HD0? Already have 4 analog racing rigs. What else would you buy with the money? We'll definitely be getting whoops and gates. Tyler, if you're serious, if you're going to be focused mostly on racing, then HD0 is a significant upgrade from analog. That's not really, I think, a question of debate. I think that's just a given. Analog is fine, and you will get more equipment for your dollar by going with analog, because you can buy $25 analog VTXs and $20 analog cameras instead of buying more expensive HD0 ones. But the HD0 is a significant upgrade, especially if you're doing larger quads with the 90 FPS camera for racing. So it's just a question of, so like, for example, you have $10,000. So how many HD0 goggles are you going to buy at $600 a piece? Is that what you're going to do? I mean, you don't have to. There's other ways to go about it. You could go with the HD0 video receiver and screens or something, but HD0 is going to get you less gear because it's more expensive, but it is going to give you a better experience. As usual, I refuse to give you a straight answer, because I don't think that most questions like this are one right answer for everyone. It's just it depends, and you have to decide, you know? And I'm not like the waiter who's trying to sell you the daily special. It's like, oh, yes, sir, I think you're going to love it. Hey, we got another salmon going out. You know, I have no stake in which one of these you choose. I just want you to choose the right one for you. If you are going to be racing, the HD0 Event VRX is really, really cool. It can receive both HD0 and analog signals, and you output 4 HDMI feeds into a 4-in-1 multiplexer, and you get 4 feeds on a television screen, and it's a great way to spectate a race.